All right, I'm back over here on the Charlotte and Southern Railroad here in Charlotte, Michigan. Yes, I know I pronounced it wrong the last few videos. Just to get a disclaimer, I don't really go to the west side of the state very often. But yeah, I guess to cut to the topic here, so most of y'all Michigan rail fans may know that the Charlotte and Southern is officially selling all their equipment because there's no, like, you know, interest nor funds, or maybe both, like interest or funds, to run the railroad anymore. And for those of y'all who don't know what the Charlotte and Southern is, it's actually a little railroad that is owned under the Adrian and Blissfield, and they run on this old Grand Trunk Western branch track. And they used to run the dinner train, I believe, like on weekdays, or maybe less often than that. But ever since 2020, when the lockdown happened, the Charlotte and Southern was not running anymore. So their last official train ran on March 2020. And ever since then, the Charlotte and Southern has been defunct and out of service, and in hopes of it coming back. But however, though, not about a month ago, it's been confirmed that the equipment, like the cars and the locomotive, have all been put up for sale, and this line is going to be abandoned for good now. So I decided to make this update video about it to show you guys around on what's been changed around on the Charlotte and Southern lately, and also to show you all the crossings that I toured again in this one single video on the Charlotte and Southern over the years, since I used to go around this area a lot when I was in trade school. But now, since I decided to go back to this area for a day, I decided to you know, go around and tour some stuff around the Charlotte and Southern and see what it is today. So this right here, this crossing right here, is the Cochrane Avenue Railroad crossing number 2. Cochrane Avenue number 1's down there, and you've seen the preview at the beginning where a train was going through. But yeah, so here is, you know, Cochrane Avenue number 2, which was active, but I would say it was active, like the relay case was turned on. But when the Charlotte and Southern was moving their equipment around, as you can see, there's the cars. I'll get more in details on that in a minute. They have since then shut off this crossing. So yeah, the equipment's still the same. Here's the Safe Train base, the Charlotte and Southern dot tags, and the lights and bells are the same, as well as the weird discolored crossbuck. And the only changes they've made to this crossing is they added exempt signs to them now. And the exempt signs, when they were first putting them up, when the Charlotte and Southern was moving some stuff around, they used to be yellow, but now they actually put up the white, correct color exempt signs. Quite interesting. And you can see here that not even that long ago, they also cleaned up the rails, which was quite interesting because I didn't think they would clean up the rails. Well, they did that before they ran the Charlotte and Southern around and picked some equipment up. Yeah, they did that before that. But now, since, you know, they finally did their final run, they're probably going to leave these rails to rot. So, yeah. All right, now let's go ahead and go over to the other side of the crossing where all the equipment is, or the moved equipment is, because this right here is pretty much the beginning of the branch line where the Charlotte and Southern begins. And as you can see, they moved some stuff around. So that bright orange car right there was actually a pretty rare move. They actually moved it from all the way from the end of the line all the way over here, since I believe these cars right here already have been sold, but now they just need to be picked up. I think I might be wrong, but comment below if they are sold or not, but I believe they are. So they're just going to be sitting here until further notice. And I know that the Charlotte and Southern isn't abandoned quite yet, because the locomotive is sitting down there, which I'll show you guys in a minute. So yeah, these cars right here used to be like old Grand Trunk Western, you know, era lightweight cars and baggage cars, but obviously the Charlotte and Southern bought them so they can use them for their dinner train. Quite neat to see here, to see each of them, you know, just chilling here. So yeah, I guess with that out of the way, and back to the crossing, here's the second signal with all the WRS equipment. See the clamp-on style base, the lights, and also a bell, a WRS mini bell, in which I've had somebody tell me that I was been shaking it wrong. I'm going to shake it side to side, because in my crossing tour video, I wasn't able to get the bell to ring, but I've been shaking it wrong, so I'm going to shake it side to side to see if I can make it ring. So let's check it out. I can kind of hear it. It's a little clunky, but yeah. Here are the lights once again. You can see that they're littered. There's little bulbs in the sides. And right here is the relay case, which they put a bag over the top because I assume it's probably leaking. And here's the light in there, which is still on, but however, the crossing does not work, which is odd because I thought that was an indicator light right there. But it turns out when the Charlotte and Southern was running around, I saw a few videos, they moved the equipment through here, but the crossing did not activate, so the crew had to flag it. So yeah, that right there was a little update on Cochrane Avenue number 2 on the Charlotte and Southern. You know, they pretty much just moved the equipment around and added exempt signs because this line is now, I'd say, officially abandoned. Now let's go ahead and check out a couple more crossings down at Lansing Street and Lovett Street. All right, before getting to Lansing Street, you can see the crossbuck crossing right next to Cochrane Street, or Cochrane Avenue. And you can see those are abandoned too. They're all abandoned throughout, all the way to the where the line begins, right where them cars are. And yes, this line does connect to the CN Flint sub, where, you know, is all of the mainline Canadian national traffic that we all know of today. Anyways, now let's go to Lansing Street and uncover more details and get another perspective. All right, here I am at Lansing Street. So as you can see, I toured this crossing like back in the past as well when I first decided to check out the old Charlotte and Southern. And same deal here, the crossing equipment remains the same, except they put exempt signs on the signals and on the RXR sign down there. And this crossing right here is pretty much the central crossing of this little line that the dinner train runs on. You can see the little sign right there, the mystery dinner train. See, it's definitely pretty old. And right next to it, which I forgot to mention, is this old ice cream shop, which is, I guess, pretty cool. But yeah, so here is the crossing itself. Now, one thing I did find interesting about this crossing itself is the fact that there's like Western Cullen Hayes style visors on the Hawker and Safe Train incandescent lights. That's just one thing that caught my eye. And I did accidentally call this bell an NEGE bell, but it's actually a GS Type 2. There has been videos made on the Charlotte and Southern in the past, most definitely, especially like in the now time when it was making its final run before, you know, selling off its equipment. And I also did later find out that this line used to extend all the way to Grand Rapids, but however, the track conditions were poor, so they ripped up that portion of the line and only left that little tail down there for back in the days when Conrail actually owned this line, and then Grand Trunk Western bought it out. But yeah. So I guess with that out of the way, here is the locomotive itself, Charlotte and Southern number 3. I think that's the number 3, which was actually the very last GE 44-tonner locomotive ever built, which was quite interesting. So it sits there for now. They did fire it up a couple times and run it around, which I think is pretty cool how they're, you know, acknowledging it and maintaining it and stuff, just so they make sure that it's in proper running condition before they actually sell it. Now, the Charlotte and Southern has not made their official final run yet. I do know that because the locomotive is still there and those cars are still there. They just need to be picked up. But you can see the locomotive is down there. The consist has been cut and it's been moved up to Cochrane Avenue, as you guys seen earlier. So yeah, that right there is Lansing Street. Now let's go ahead and move to one more crossing that I did tour in the past, which was Lovett Street, which is just a walk down there. And you can see on the side the relay case, so here's the relay case for the crossing itself, and you can definitely see how much they cleaned up the rails here, which is quite crazy considering the fact that they're literally abandoning this line now. So here's the relay case right here, which used to have this huge dot tag on the side. Yes, I'm pretty sure, I think this was a dot tag, or this might have been a different like sign, but it's definitely still really odd how they just left it there and they changed them out ever since. So this crossing right here also doesn't work. I believe all of the crossings here with equipment are all shut down and non-operational, since it would, I guess, be pointless to leave them on and take up energy. So I guess with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the final crossing in perspective of the line, which is Lovett Street, in which I'm just gonna walk along the rails over here. Now, I feel like this will be a cool like trail riding spot once this line is abandoned. I suspect that there's gonna be a bunch of people on like dune buggies and four-wheelers riding along this line. Now, speaking of which, if you guys want to see a much better documentary and not just me rambling about the crossings and the updates that this line has gone through, I will leave a link down below to a video that a good friend of ours, AFLK Productions, made on this line, where he caught one of the final runs of the Charlotte and Southern and documented it. It's a really good video, so I highly recommend you guys to watch it. I'll leave a link down below towards the top. And yeah, and if you guys want, and I guess you guys could click that and watch that video if you guys want more details other than just a perspective on what it's like now after the Charlotte and Southern moved around some equipment along this line and put their stuff up for sale. So yeah, Lovett Street's right down there. So I guess with that said and out of the way, let's get to her. Alrighty, so here is the third and final crossing, in which I only have time and battery for. I would go to the very tail end of the line if I could. But yeah, so here is the Lovett Street crossing, which I toured in the past once again. And once again, you could definitely see how much they cleaned up this line ever since I was last here. You can see that there was a lot of tall grass and weeds, but they killed all of those weeds and now it's like completely clear. It's like they are trying to bring the line back to life, but they are abandoning it. It's kind of hard to say. That's a tongue twister. But yeah, so once again, here are the exempt signs for this crossing, which are really large on these little masts. It's kind of funny. And one thing I did forget to mention in the past when I was touring this crossing was that the fact that these stop on red signal signs used to be like inverted cat eye reflector stop on red signal signs. It's kind of a neat thing to see, like an old Conrail and Grand Trunk Western era install. I believe this was like Grand Trunk Western install, unless they added those stop on red signals later for the aesthetic. You can see there's remains of an old dot tag right here. So here's the relay case once again, which has a little Rayco box attached to it. And once again, up front over here is where a huge dot tag used to be. That's one thing I did notice about the Charlotte and Southern, is they used them huge dot tags that some short lines back in the like 2000s used to use. But due to them fading so easily in the weather, then they stopped using them. So yeah, so here is the crossing once again, you know, with the Grand Trunk Western era dot tags and also the modern dot tags. And down there is where it curves towards more crossbuck crossings and eventually towards the end of the line, which is very overgrown. Since, like I said, I only went to trade school near here, I never really was around this part of the Michigan until not too long ago. I'd say like a couple years ago. But it's definitely neat to see and tour around the Charlotte and Southern line just to see, like, I guess what's left of it and how it is today after I can't say the name because I might, you know, I can't even say that word either. Jeez, so many rules. But yeah, ever since 2020 per se, or supposedly the last train to run through here was 2019, but I thought I'd seen a video of them running through here in March 2020. But you know, I mean, the point being is they used to run around here quite often until they got shut down in 2020. And then they had no longer had interest to run the dinner train on this little line anymore. So my apologies, my phone actually died while I was saying that, so I decided just to finish the sentence and then actually relocate further down south towards Clinton Trail or Michigan 50, right where the end of the line is. So this right here is right at the end of the Charlotte and Southern, or former Grand Trunk / Conrail branch. I'm not totally sure. Like I said, I'm not totally sure what the exact history on this. I know Grand Trunk Western used to own it. So here's the last crossing, which is a crossbuck crossing, which had the exempt signs on for a while. So these weren't actually recently added. These were on here. You can see Highway M15 Clinton Trail. Here's the big dot tags that they actually left on these since they didn't fade. Or maybe these do look newer actually. So maybe they changed them out and left them big like the old ones. It's kind of funny. They kind of look like stop on red signal signs from a distance, but they're not. So yeah, once again, it looks like that they cleaned up this section of the line, except actually down here, if you head further north, you could definitely see some weeds that are on the line. But over here towards the tippity tail end of this line, you can see that they cleaned it up a little bit right at the end, which is quite interesting to me. So yeah, there's that for you. And right here is basically the big grain elevators that they had on this line. But the Charlotte and Southern, this doesn't really have anything to do with the Charlotte and Southern. Maybe they used to accept rail service back in the past. But yeah, obviously now they don't, because this is the Charlotte and Southern. So right here is actually a relay case, as I just noticed. So maybe some crossing equipment, or maybe an old like signal or something used to be here in the past. Not totally sure what that is, but maybe a crossing did used to be here, or this used to be a part of like an old like fixed approach, or what was I gonna say, automatic signal. Quite interesting stuff to see here. So here's that. So yeah, pretty neat stuff. So yeah, I guess to finish off this video, this was my little tour of what the Charlotte and Southern Railroad is now since they're selling off their equipment and planning their final run one day. So all I gotta say is rest in peace to this little branch line. Then again, it was kind of bound to happen. Like I said, back in the past, this line had a pretty bad reputation when it comes to derailments because the track conditions, I've been told that the track conditions have always been poor, and boy does it show. You see all the trash everywhere and how bendy it is, and you can see that this entire line is just jointed rail, which is pretty cool, pretty old school. But yeah, I guess with all that said, this was my little tour of what the Charlotte Southern Railway is now in 2024. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know down below in the comments or like button or whatever. So I guess for now, with that said, over and out.